here we got the arena set up. This is just basically a few pieces of poster board, like a big fold-out poster board that I just wrapped in black wrapping paper to make the floor, give it a little bit of a gloss, and the ring. Usually I put the, the entryway, whatever it is I want to be doing, like over here. Today, I would like to demonstrate how to do, like, some of the things I'd like to do. Just a few of the tricks I learned over the years. Helping us demonstrate today will be Tommy Dreamer and Ken Shamrock. These are a couple figures I've had for a while, but I never actually really used them because I just couldn't find a spot to stick them in a video. Alright, let's take a look. Alright, so basically I'm not going to sit here and describe how to animate. I figure anybody watching this probably already knows the basics where you just, you set them up, you take a picture, until you get it the way you want it. So what I want to do is just kind of show, like, maybe some of the tricks I learned over the time I've been animating on how to, like, get people to do certain poses, like maybe a guy holding another guy up in the air or whatever. Basically, I use a couple of things. I got tape. Let's start by taping this guy's foot down to the mat. Now, if you watch my videos, if you go back and watch some of the old ones now, you'll probably be able to see that occasionally I tape a guy's foot down. Whatever, roll with it, they're toys. You're going to need some of these. These are basically just like little elastic bands that you can use to attach, like, mostly people use them like braid hair, but I use them just to give you a little feel for everything here. Let's say you want a suplex. Basically, I just wrap it around the one guy's arm, and the other guy performing the move gets it wrapped around his neck. Like, obviously, it's not going to be invisible unless you get the clear bands, which I really should get, so I don't have to keep trying to hide a black or a white band. And then lastly, of course, you're going to need string to just, prop the guy up. But I usually just have it looped around, like, his knee or his leg or whatever. Of course, tape's not going to stay. But basically, like, it's just a way to get it to, the point where you can hold up only one figure without having to wrap string around both figures or whatever. And you take your picture and, you can generally kind of maneuver it however you want it, like this. And obviously, in between, when you're taking pictures, you're going to change the guy's, like, positions of his legs just to give the illusion of, like, gravity. But that's basically one way to do it. Also, I found, I'll just take them off here. This also works if you wanted to make them do like an overhead suplex or German or whatever. You could have him basically just get him in the position like he's going to do the suplex, and then wrap your little elastic band. Like, for instance, Shamrock is doing the move, so you wrap the elastic band around both of his hands like this, and basically Tommy Dreamer right now would be like seat belted in. You can't really see it because of the black on black. But yeah, it's coming across right here like that. So now, I'll change the position of the string right now. You can see I got one string supporting Tommy Dreamer and Ken Shamrock, but all I'm really doing is just kind of manipulating which direction they're going in. Obviously, in between taking pictures, like I said before, you're going to want to be moving the guy's legs or their arms or whatever just to give the illusion that he's actually being thrown instead of just looking like a couple figures set up falling down. Well, that's one of the things I learned over the past couple of months of animating, so if you want to try it out, maybe, see how it works for you. Maybe you like it.
So what you're looking at here is the second time I filmed the Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle introduction. The one that ended up on YouTube was actually the third match that I did. The first one, I got halfway through it, my hard drive crashed, so I basically was having to start from scratch when I ended up redoing it. That really was a lot of the reason why it took so long for me to get the match done. But you'll see a couple of differences in this version, like just a little jerkier camera work. The Bret Hart figure was different than the one I ended up using. But, all in all, I thought this was cool that I found it and just figured I would share it.
What you see here is the theme song to the JWF stuff, just the intro music that plays before a lot of the stuff. I'm about to re-record it because I was never really that satisfied with the way it sounded. I wanted it to sound just a little bit cleaner, so hopefully I can make that happen here tonight. Alright, so check it out. It's basically on the 7th and 8th fret. You're in drop D, by the way. It's a very simple riff. And then you basically drop down to like the 3rd, 4th, 1st, and 2nd. Nothing complicated. Show all your friends if you want. I bet they have no idea what it is. Alright, let's get started. One of the questions I get asked a lot is how I do the animated lips over the figures when they're, like, for instance, when they're talking on the mic, you know, cutting into each other a little bit. I'm going to try and explain this the best I can because, you know, enough people have asked about it where I feel like maybe if I share it, other people will start using it and maybe getting more creative with some of the videos they want to make. It's going to be tough to explain because I never really tried to explain this before, so hopefully you guys can follow along. I don't know how this is going to work if you have a different program than me, but let me show you what I do. Alright, so I've told people in the past that the program I use is Final Cut. That's what I use for everything Ordinary World does. I use it for all the JWF stuff. Basically, it's just a program I learned when I was in college, so it's the one I like to keep using. Now, what I have here, you'll see up in the corner, that's my video feed. It's a bunch of different just mouths, you know, on a black background. I got all different shapes for different, like, pronunciations and stuff. What I have down here is the audio track. This is the visual track, by the way, and this is the audio track. I have Shawn Michaels talking.
Throwing out stipulations around here.
So, you know, what you're going to want to do is take all these mouths and, like, basically, shot for shot, try and match the right mouth to whatever the word is. It's a pain, it takes a while, but eventually you get it to the point where it actually looks like, for instance, if I were to play it over, it would look like he's talking. What you do is you save that as a separate video file. I'm going to take you back here to where he's actually talking. There he is. I'm going to try and zoom in on this a little so maybe you can see it. But you can see the mouth like superimposed over Shawn's like actual figure mouth.
Now hold on a second, Rock. We can't just have you throwing out stipulations around.
So basically, it's pretty easy to superimpose the mouth over, let's say you have a still shot of a figure with a microphone and you superimpose the mouth over top of it, so you just got the picture with the guy's mouth going like that. And that's effective, but for me, sometimes what I like to do is have the figure moving around while he's talking, like I'll have him walking across the ring or whatever. At that point, you have to take the superimposed image of the mouth that you've already saved as, you know, that matches up with the audio track. You're going to have to individually, like frame by frame, move the mouth over where the figure goes. So for example, let's take this guy, Sabretooth. Let's say I animated him walking and he's supposed to be talking. I would have the mouth superimposed over him, obviously, to make him, you know, look like he's talking. But at the same time, if he's walking, frame by frame, the mouth would stay right here, like, unless I physically went back each frame and moved it along with him. So it's time consuming, it's kind of a pain, and I try not to do it very often just because I don't like sitting there and taking so much time. But at the same time, it really gives a pretty cool effect when you're trying to have figures interacting with each other. And it just looks, to me, a lot better than if I just had this figure standing there and supposedly talking without actually moving his mouth. So, I don't know, enough people have asked me about that to the point where I feel like maybe I should share it. Hopefully some people can get this to work outside of Final Cut. I really don't know how to get it to work with any other programs. This is the one I learned on, like I said, so I don't know really anything about any of the other animation programs. But you got some options. Hopefully you guys can take this idea and run with it. And if you improve on it, hey, maybe you can tell me how to do it.